Gettin Geeked. Gettin Geeked. Gettin Geeked with Danny Allen. Gettin Geeked. Gettin Geeked. Gettin Geeked with Danny Allen.
Alright. What's going on, everybody? This is episode 14 of Gettin Geeked with your boy, Danny Allen. What's going on, everybody? The week is over. There's been some news out there regarding entertainment media, TV, streaming, movies. What is on the menu for today's podcast? Coming up in today's episode 14. Yes, 14 glorious episodes of Gettin Geeked. And I think it's been going good. We are 200 subscribers up on YouTube. We're now over 800 subscribers. Thank you guys for subscribing. A lot of you guys have been finding me through the recommended page, which is great. Getting into the recommended page is very important when you're trying to grow your YouTube channel. So, thank you so much for subscribing. And to all the new people here, hello, welcome. I think I had around 600 something subscribers before I launched the podcast. So we are definitely growing in a somewhat rapid rate. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by January. We'll see if that happens. But it's not about the quantity of subscribers. It's the quality of subscribers. I want people that want to watch these videos and to have conversations about these topics regarding all this comic book news, all this stuff. Superman and Black Adam. Here we go again with these expectations. I'm going to be rating the current shows that are on right now. It's going to be interesting. All these new shows I'm watching, they're different and similar in the same ways, and I'm going to talk about that later. And then to close out the show, we got some Final Destination news. What? Final Destination 6? We're going to talk about it. We are going to talk about it coming up on Gettin Geeked. Okay, so let's talk about this Superman news. We thought he was coming out at CDCC, San Diego Comic-Con. Black Adam shows up on stage. We thought, oh shit, where's Henry? He was filming The Witcher. So we took that as, oh, he's not going to be in this movie. Turns out, The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, apparently he pulled some strings, and Henry Cavill himself will be Superman at the end of Black Adam. Nobody from this planet can defeat me or something. That's what Black Adam says, according to the leaks. Good thing I'm not from this planet. Boom! See ya! That's the apparent scene we are going to get. Do I believe it? I'm going to say no. I want to believe it. However, we've gotten burned so many times, whether it's DC or Marvel recently, with high expectations. And should we get hyped for these rumors? You have to take all this stuff with a grain of salt. If it's not coming from a Variety, a Deadline, Hollywood Reporter, anything like that, I wouldn't believe it. Before, with the leaks and everything, and the scoopers, I give them about 60%. I would rate them about 60% chance of being correct. Lately, I'm feeling more of a 40%. There's like a 40% chance that those rumors are true. Other people, they put stock into these people, these scoopers, quote unquote scoopers. Do you trust them? Well, you have to look at each individual track record on whether you trust them. Now, people that have been proven right, now of course you might listen to them a little bit more. But then you still have those people that are trying to grow their own audience. So they'll add a little clickbait to their headline, they'll stir up. Maybe they've been right a couple times, maybe they've been wrong a few times, so you really can't put too much stock into what they're saying. It's pretty much a 40% chance for me now whether I'm going to believe it. I want to remain optimistic. That would be awesome. But I'm going into that movie not expecting Superman. That's just that's where my expectations are. I'm happy that we're getting the Justice Society in this movie. We're not getting individual movies to build up to a Justice Society. We're just getting, boom, Justice Society in Black Adam. It's awesome. I love it. We don't need solo films. I talked about that on the last podcast. Yes. So yeah, Superman and Black Adam. Do you believe it? I am leaning towards no. I think he's done. I think Henry Cavill might be done, but prove me wrong. Prove me wrong, bruh. Until then, comment below. What do you think about this news? Coming up next on Gettin Geeked. This podcast is brought to you by geekedmedia.com. That's not an advertisement. That's just the main hub for the geekedmedia.com website, which has all the concept art I've made, fan art, blogs, also the podcast. Just go take a look at it. geekedmedia.com. Yeah. Coming up next, current shows. Okay, this is where things get interesting. We've been watching, most of us have been watching, all the shows that are out right now. Whether it's SheHulk, Andor, Cobra Kai, House of the Dragon, Rings of Power, shows like that. With SheHulk, let's go in release order. So SheHulk, it started out great. First 2 episodes, they had that comedy, but they also had that action from the MCU. Not necessarily action, just MCU-oriented stuff. Whether it's the Hulk training She-Hulk, him trying to convince her to become a superhero, like that kind of stuff. And then you have the comedy they're trying to throw in with the courtroom, and the wedding. It's just a lot of filler going on. She even said it herself. This is a self-contained wedding episode. So I wouldn't, She-Hulk's been okay, and that's really where I'm at with it. At this point, I'm just waiting for Daredevil to show up, and I might just wait for the scenes to come on YouTube. It's just waiting till midnight to watch these She-Hulk episodes. It's not worth it, you know what I'm saying? So it's cool to see Wong. I like that, Wong likes The Sopranos. That's about it. Homeboy Reese, what was his name? Reese from Entourage, the director. He was in episode, was it 4 as the magician? That was cool, but only because the homeboy was from Entourage. And just with the way they're handling the characters is not really where I'm at with the MCU. I want more secret invasion type of, like a thriller type of element. It's just, and then like the humor is just not that great. It's just Megan Thee Stallion and all that. I'm good. I don't want to talk shit about the show. It's just because there's a lot of bashing going on regarding the show, right? It's woke, blah blah blah. It's underwritten, blah blah blah. It's too short. There's a lot of reasons why people aren't liking the show. She-Hulk, where's Hulk at? It's just fine. The show's fine, but the She-Hulk's CGI is not fine. It just takes me out of it. I wish they did like a Gamora type of thing, like with paint. Maybe because they enhance her body, right? But maybe her face could be like real, and then she could have paint on or something. I don't know. I just think they could have went about the visual aesthetic of She-Hulk a little bit better, especially if you're putting all the stock into a series. Everybody's getting a series now, but you got to step up your game, Marvel Studios. We know all about the VFX houses getting overworked. You know, they're having to push movies back 7 months, 9 months. They're backed up with VFX. They're working long hours. There's no union for VFX artists. So it's just, we're in a weird spot right now when it comes to VFX. How reliant these movie studios are on VFX. They're not wanting to build practical sets, and when they do, it's very minimal. That's my main issue with Marvel Studios. They always set dress like the very front of the set, and then in the background, just boom, blue screen. So it's just tacky. DC's somewhat guilty of this. However, like a Zack Snyder type, he hides it better. Where you place things on the set, it really matters. Color grade matters, and that's just a whole nother conversation. So, She-Hulk's been fine. She-May's been fine. What else came out next? Was it House of the Dragon? Is one of the best shows out on television right now. The visual quality, the writing has been really solid. Every episode you're like, holy shit, what's going on? They're about to switch the cast up, like they're switching it up. Every storyline's been like really captivating. You care about every character and their story, and that's how you know the show is good. When it comes to Rings of Power, I don't really care much about the Harfoots or whatever, and the elves are lit. It's very selective when it comes to Rings of Power. The scope of Rings of Power is great. The storylines, the episode lengths are fine. It's just the pacing of the story itself and the story they're presenting and the way the editing is. It's been fair. It's fine. I do like House of the Dragon a little bit more. And then Rings of Power. It's just more violent, gritty, and there's nothing. I would always recommend Rings of Power to people if they think Game of Thrones is too violent. It's like a step below as far as, it's not TV mature. It's definitely more fantasy. It's just, if you don't I'm not invested in the Tolkien lore like that, and like it's cool to see the maps and where everything is, because there definitely is a lot of locations in Rings of Power compared to House of the Dragon. It's just this is how many episodes? We're 4 episodes in, or 5 episodes in, and there's only like 8 episodes, and they're just now getting on their merry way and to meet up and fight whatever they're setting up to fight. Each faction they're finally on the same. They don't know it, but we know it. They're all on the same path to kind of meet up with each other, to team up, to fight Sauron is what I'm assuming. Sauron, however they say it. It's just dude, something about. I don't want to compare. I don't like comparing Rings of Power and House of the Dragon because they're similar and they're not similar. They're similar in length, meaning that they're an hour and some change each, which means you're gonna get a nice thick story. They're not going to cut corners. They're taking their time, which I love. Because if you're going to do an 8 episode season, you better come correct with the episode lengths. Let's talk about Cobra Kai. Cobra Kai. Let's talk about Cobra Kai. 10 episodes. However, I just said I like longer episodes. Cobra Kai storytelling is 30-minute episodes. But within that 30 minutes, every single scene counts, and they all hit, and they ramp you up. And by the time you reach the end of an episode of Cobra Kai, it's the same thing like House of Dragon. Like it's bro, what is happening? What's going to happen next? But it's a different pace than a House of Dragon. It's like the opposite. It's like taking pre-workout. Cobra Kai is like taking pre-workout, and you're getting all this information within 30 minutes, and it's the equivalent of a House of the Dragon episode, just crammed in, not really crammed, but just in 30 minutes, and it's boom, 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 like fighting. It's fast. It's just like the information, the way they interchange the old movies with the new movies, they overlap, flashbacks. Every character gets fleshed out more. Terry Silver's story got fleshed out more. They just, you can tell they care about it. They're not ignoring movies. I bet you money Hilary Swank's coming back in season 6. She's from the next Karate Kid. It's just, they're not scared of their history. They're not embarrassed by their history. They're not trying to like rewrite stuff like some of these franchises, Halloween. Cobra Kai is just really solid, and to me, Cobra Kai is the best over as far as on the air right now. Like Stranger Things and Cobra Kai are like head to head, but we're not talking about Stranger Things right now. We're talking about shows that are currently on the air. Cobra Kai just debuted. All the episodes are there. I could include Sandman, but I'm not going to include Sandman. Just current shows. My rank is the following. Number 1, Cobra Kai. Number 2, House of the Dragon. Oh, I forgot one. When it just started. We need to talk about Andor. Andor. First 3 episodes are out. It's a mix-up. It's a shake-up. Toss-up. Andor has a great aesthetic. Blade Runner vibes. A lot of rain effects. A lot of fog kind of thing going on. It's violent off-screen, but they know how to build tension. I'll give them that. It's shot better than Obi-Wan and Boba Fett for sure. It's just 30-minute episodes, and unlike Cobra Kai with the really cohesive story in 30 minutes, Andor has 3 episodes stretched out to make time for 3 episodes, is what it feels like. 90 minutes is basically an episode of House of the Dragon, and 90 minutes is the 3 episodes of Andor. I would have liked if those 3 episodes were edited down into 1 hour episode, because we really, it doesn't cover a lot of ground in the first 3 episodes of Andor. It was I'm not going to go into spoilers. It's just a very cut and dry kind of thing. He starts here, and then this is where he's leading. It's very, and the director said that they shot this season in 3 episode parts. So it's kind of whack that they're giving the first 3 episodes to us, and now they're doing the 1 episode a week thing, which is only 30 minutes. When we know the intention of the show is to be in 4 3-episode parts, making up the 12 episodes. So just drop 3 episodes each week so we get the arcs. But I don't know, dude. Disney's been weird. Lucasfilm, Marvel Studios, they like these 30-minute episodes. And these people you don't have to stay up till midnight or wherever you are. You have to watch it. Or you're going to get spoiled. And if it's worth watching, you're definitely going to want to watch it as soon as possible. But yeah, Andor, I'm not going to say it's better than Obi-Wan and Boba Fett. It's shot better, but as far as the story, and what we're getting out of it, I don't know if it's better just yet. I like that it's got its own kind of vibe. As far as where Andor is going to end up going, and like the guy that's recruiting him, the Cassian Andor, he says, Andor, you got to come with me, Cassian Andor. Like, bro, what are you, like, what? From the trailer, we know this dude's like leading a double life. He's like a high up in command, like Senate type, and then now he's doing runs with Andor. So I like that kind of a partner type of vibe. Like, I've heard somebody say it's like Zorro, kind of passing the torch kind of thing. They set up some intrigue with these 3 episodes of Andor. I just think the pacing could have been a little bit better. Maybe make that 1 long episode, not 3. But that's kind of a systemic problem with Disney Plus. Not really. That's just a format that they have to go with. That seems like it's a mandate. Every one of these shows is 30 minutes. So, and that's probably a mandate across Disney, Marvel Studios, and Lucasfilm. That's the only thing I can think of. Or else, why not give us hour-long episodes? They want to stretch it out. They're filming these like movies, and then they're chopping them up in like 30 minutes. Dude, it's not. It's a series. So treat it like a series. And that's another thing with She-Hulk. I'm not even gonna start. Okay, so my rankings. Number 1, Cobra Kai. Number 2, House of the Dragon. Number 3, Andor. And number 4, Rings of Power. And number 5, She-Hulk. To me, that's where I'm at with the series, with all these shows. Some of them are short, some of them are long in duration. But what matters is the pacing and the quality of story you're getting within those 30 minutes, within that hour. If it's an hour and a half, and if it's an hour and a half and nothing's going on, and everything is stretched out, and you get from 1 hour, at the end of that hour, you don't really learn anything, then I can see why people say, oh, well, it's slow and nothing's going on. It's like, well, no shit. But then you got Cobra Kai, 30 minutes and a bunch of information, tension all there, you're on pre-workout. It's just a different vibe. So some of these episodes can get away with 30 minutes. And then some you can't. And then I'm hearing that Netflix is wanting to do all weekly, because they already have weekly shows on Netflix. There's a lot of channels out here that, every show on Netflix needs to be weekly. It's like, no, dude. I liked watching Sandman all the way through. I can knock it out in the weekend. I don't have to wait a week after week. Especially if it's only like 8 episodes. 9, 10 episodes. Cobra Kai. I knocked out Cobra Kai on a Friday night. It was lit. 30-minute episodes. 10 episodes. Do the math on that. It's like watching a movie or two. It's a whole experience. Watching Stranger Things all the way through the weekend is an experience. It's a different type of a weekly experience. But only the people worried about analytics and marketing, and those are the only people that care about a weekly to weekly basis, because they can keep funding their content and keep chugging along, and they're saying, oh, well, it'll be a water cooler show. And dude, people like to talk about the whole season. We're not in 1997 anymore. We don't need week to week. The CW, we don't need 22 episodes of The Flash where fucking a half of it's filler because they have to make a fucking 22 episode arc. They could cut it down to 12 to 15 like Superman and Lois. Way better storytelling. I'm not even caught up on the Superman and Lois. You got to make it count. So I'm anti-weekly, dude. I want all these shows to drop like movies. Just put it all out. Boom. Drop it. Boom. And people will watch it. I get it. Oh, if it's week to week, then you can keep your ads on. And it'll keep the show in the conversation. There's too much of that to keep in the conversation. Do you have all these shows like on simultaneously, and you're supposed to tune in at these times every week? Back in the day, you might watch 1 or 2, and now you have to watch like 6 to 8 all at once. So you can prioritize. I'm gonna watch Cobra Kai. Boom, Friday night. Boom. Then that's it. That's like the majority. Then you have some other weekly things. I don't know. Am I wrong? Am I on the wrong side of this? I don't like weekly shows. Yeah. Oh, you get to see what happens next week. No. Not in the binge era. Not when I could watch all of The Sopranos immediately. And granted, it wasn't. They did drop it week to week. But you know what? We're not, like I said, it's not 2007 anymore. Drop the whole season, guys. Quit hiding the goods. Let's see it. Thank you, Cobra Kai, for giving us an awesome 10-episode series. Thank you, Stranger Things. How many hours of Stranger Things, the last season of Stranger Things? We got like 1.5 hour episodes, 2 hour episodes. Yes, dude. Creative. It's different. It's not the same. And that's why it's awesome. That's why it's unique. They're taking chances. Now, if they did weekly, I would be upset, but it's not like a big thing to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could deal with it like how I'm dealing with it now, but at least I have the option with other shows to do a full binge. So I don't know, dude. I would not be happy about it, but it's not that big of a deal, is it? What do you guys think? Do you want to binge a whole series or a season in a weekend, or do you want to have a water cooler conversation week to week? You know, where it's been so whack, and they're drawing it out. It's like, fuck, how many more episodes of this? Like, we barely got anything interesting. Like, week to week, disappointed week to week. Or do you want to be disappointed in one weekend if it sucks, like Resident Evil? They dropped the whole season 1 of Resident Evil, and people had the opportunity to watch however many episodes they wanted to, and that will gauge if it's a good show. Some people are like, oh, I only made it one episode and I tapped out. Netflix knows that, how many people watched which episode, you know? It's like, oh shit, 80% of people are only watching the first 2 episodes. Ooh. But then you got like Game of Thrones over here, House of the Dragon. Wow, 22 million viewers or something. And it goes up 2% every week. Is that different or the same? Because eventually you'll have that chart of ratings. But when you drop a whole season in one weekend, you'll know by end of the weekend how many people watched it and the percentage of people that finished it. You got 99.9% finished Sandman or something, then they know they have a hit on their hands. But if you got like a Resident Evil, 60% or 50% finished the whole season, that to me seems like the better way to look at whether a show is successful or not. Oh, you gotta wait for people to come and people to find it. No, dude. They're spending millions of dollars to market these things. So if they're not marketing it well to hit the first time, and you have to wait 2 months for people to find it, it's not great. It's not great. It doesn't cost money for Netflix to put their movie on the front page on their own site. But sometimes they're dropping so much stuff, it doesn't make it to the newly released section. It's like way in the back or whatever. Whatever the excuse is, it doesn't pop up for some people. That's the excuse. Oh, I didn't see it. I had to search around and it popped up and whatever. You can either like it, a weekly thing, or, you know, it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter. What do you guys think? Weekly shows versus weekly binges. That's it. Coming up next, to close out episode 14, one of my favorite horror franchises is making a triumphant return. Final Destination 6. Yes. I don't know the directors' names. I'm going to have the graphic. But these directors, apparently, to pitch their version of the movie when they're interviewing via Zoom to direct Final Destination 6, apparently they faked their death on the Zoom. That's how you get hired, guys. Go above and beyond. You know, I would like to see that if they posted it. Did they post it? Let me know. So these directors, I'm pretty much open for anybody to direct, you know. Obviously, they're doing good things, or the studio likes what they're doing. So, you know, would I have liked a more well-known director to direct it? Sure. Kind of like how I feel about Fantastic Four, Matt Shakman, the director of WandaVision, taking on the Fantastic Four. I'm not too caught up with his recent works besides WandaVision, but I know by watching the behind the scenes of WandaVision how difficult it was to direct WandaVision, as far as each era, each episode, they had to film it all at once, kind of a thing. And that's that's a very huge task to take on. So I trust the director with Fantastic Four somewhat. When it comes to Final Destination 6, I don't know these guys. I have to look it up. But as far as I'm concerned, as long as it's connected and they embrace what came before it, I'll give it a chance. If they don't ignore previous movies, if they don't try to retcon and say, "Oh, we're ignoring 3, 4, and 5, but 1 and 2 are connected." No. We don't need none of that. If this is what they're doing with Final Destination 6, we don't need it. But if they're going to call it 6, they're embracing what came before it, bringing it to the new age. Maybe tell it through like Death's perspective, or they change the perspective a bit. Fine, that's awesome. Final Destination 6 is up there with, well, it came before Saw. I grew up with Final Destination, and then Saw came around and kind of took over for Final Destination when it came to the horror, the kills, strategic kills, and the creative nature of Final Destination. And Saw, it has like the same kind of vibe. I'd say Saw is definitely more graphic. Final Destination 6 is bigger in scope as far as the creative ways they kill people on accident. I'm very excited for Final Destination 6. It was supposed to film in 2019, 2020, and then the pandemic hit, and we didn't hear anything about it. The creator or writer, Jeffrey Wittick, a few years ago, he co-signed it basically, and yeah, he said they're going into casting in 2020, but now there's apparently new writers, so it's a new take than what was going to happen last time. So I'm just very interested to see where they go with this franchise, because it's part 6. Usually 6 closes out a trilogy. Is this a start of a new trilogy? Because you know how marketing goes. They want 3 of them, especially if it's horror. But Final Destination can be a little expensive depending on how they choose to tell the story, how they choose to frame the kills. Do they want to make it smaller? If they make it smaller and they just have a creative story, you can make a lot of them because it doesn't cost much. Now, how much are they willing to spend on a Final Destination? It's been 11 years since the last one. It's kind of like Scream, and people don't like to hear it, but Scream, they only do those Scream movies because they're cheap to make, and they pull in like $100 million opening weekend or something. I've done the numbers. If you add all the Screams together, they make little under $1 billion, and that's all the movies together. Then you got Fast and Furious comes out. It's like a blockbuster, makes $1 billion for one movie. Marvel makes $1 billion for one movie. You can afford to spend $200 million, $300 million on a movie. When it comes to Scream, you're getting 20, you're getting 30, you're getting 40 million to make it. So you need to bank on not having a big star in the movie that wants a bunch of money. Like, you got to pare down the script. You have to make sure your CGI budget's low, because that's a problem now. I talked about it earlier. The VFX artists are underpaid, overworked. They're pushing back projects 7, 8, 9 months. That's how backed up they are. It's frustrating. And they can put money into practical. They can put more money into practical effects. But do they want to budget the cost of labor and for VFX, or do they want to pay people to build sets, get creative, be creative? But these suits, they don't care about creativity. They want to streamline everything, make sure everything's the same every time, like a factory, like McDonald's. It's great. It's great, but sometimes we want Olive Garden. Sometimes we want to go to Red Lobster. And that's what they needed to do with Final Destination. I think it'll be a moderate budget. Maybe, 50 million, 80 million. That's my guess. If you're expecting like a $200 million Final Destination movie, I don't know about that, guys. I don't know about that. These movies have been somewhat successful. I'm not surprised. I'm very surprised it's not going to directly to Hulu or something. Like the Hellraiser, perfect example. Those movies weren't billion-dollar movies, but they did have a lot of practical effects. CGI was obviously terrible, but they did what they could at the time. But they didn't rely on it. They used it strategically, and it was art. Like it was like they used paintings. It was very artsy the way they directed those Hellraiser movies. So there's two ways you can go. Do you want it to be a low budget? Put it on Hulu. Or are you going to go full theatrical, give it a modest budget, put it out in theaters, wide release, and hedge your bets on the box office? And then you got to add marketing in the theatrical. It's just the whole thing, guys. I don't know. Final Destination 6. Are you excited about it? Let me know what you think about these directors. Should we trust them with this franchise? The writers. Let me know in the comments. How do you think the budget is going to be huge, modest, or low? And do we know if this is getting a theatrical release, or are they going to put it on Hulu? Let me know in the comment sections. Yes. This has been so great, guys. Episode 14 of Gettin Geeked with your boy, Danny Allen. Have a good weekend. Have a good week. Until then, go fuck yourself. Goodbye.
Gettin Geeked. Gettin Geeked. Gettin Geeked with Danny Allen. Gettin Geeked. Gettin Geeked. Gettin Geeked with Danny Allen.